Hi, Andy. Thanks for helping my project. Could you say a little bit about yourself?
I'm Andy. I'm from York in England. So as a former colleague of yourself at Anaplan, and yeah, just thought I'd come on and join one of these chats with you.
I really appreciate that. I was a little hesitant to ask coworkers why I was there, but whenever I left, I'm like, I can really plug it. Well, Andy, what are some of your hobbies and interests?
So mine are mainly sort of like I don't know, sports based really. That's sort of where my interests come from. My biggest hobby is horse racing. Believe it or not, I sort of love to sort of study the form and analyze that sort of thing away from work. That's yeah, where it can take up quite a bit of my time.
There's a horse racing track that's about 10 miles from my house. I've never been to it. So whenever you come to Houston, we have to see
Yeah,
NASA and the horse racing track.
yeah, cool. That sounds good to me.
So have
What's
you
the
ever
track?
gone?
What's the track called? Sorry.
Sam Houston Race
Oh yeah,
Park, I
yeah,
think.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because before I started at Anaplan, I worked for a bookies back in England, and we used to take bets from Sam Houston. Yeah, we take bets from sort of all over America, and all over the world, and yeah, yeah. I recognise the name.
It's kind of funny talking about gambling in general.
Mm.
I found out my boss used to work at Harold as like managing a craps table. And then
Okay.
whenever we had the hurricane come through and it basically put that business out of
Yeah,
business,
yeah.
he went back and got his engineering degree, master's in engineering, and ended up over here. So it's
Ah,
kind of
cool,
neat.
cool.
So. Um, well, so you like horse racing? What are some other
Mhm.
sports that you like?
Well, football, I suppose, soccer is in America. Anything really, like golf, rugby. That's not too big in the States, is it? But it's quite good over here, and just anything that's sort of on TV, anything you can sort of. But yeah, my main one is probably sort of football and horse racing, I would say. Oh, and cricket. I absolutely love cricket, but that's like next to no interest in America, does it?
Well, that's not entirely true. We have a big
Okay.
Indian population here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, of course.
And
Yeah.
um, I have a friend that I used to work with at HP, and he started like a cricket league here in Houston. He was instrumental in getting a cricket field built. Now we
Oh,
have
nice.
like an entire cricket stadium that they're trying to get like international cricket games
Yeah,
hosted here in
yeah.
Houston. So
Oh, nice.
that's a third thing we could add to our list.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, of course. I forget about the sort of Indian population that's over there because cricket in India it's the sport, isn't it? It's huge to those. I know they've just had like the auction for the cricket tournament over there, and players are sold for like over £1 million for about a 10-week tournament. That's what they're getting paid. So it's huge over there.
And it's not all South Indians here on the
Okay.
cricket. I've been to a few of the games and matches.
Yeah, yeah.
And we have like the British International School here, so a big British
Oh, nice.
contingency. We have
Yeah,
a lot of South Africans here, um,
yeah,
Australians, New
yeah, yeah,
Zealanders.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
it,
Nice.
it,
It's a good game. I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it.
uh, that is awesome. Um, well, did you know that NASA is planning to send astronauts forward to the moon again as for the first time since 1972?
So yeah, I only found this out just a few weeks ago from speaking to sort of Rich, who I think's done one of these talks with you, and yeah, I mean, I was we were chatting about it, and we sort of thought we didn't realize it had been that long since astronauts had actually been sent to the moon. So it's yeah, it's really interesting. It's really interesting.
Um, I guess so. I mean, why do you think it's been so long? I mean, like, what's your thoughts on it?
Well, I suppose there was I mean, reaching the moon in the first place was part of the sort of space race, wasn't it? And sort of accomplishing that, um, beating the Russians maybe to some degree. And but then I don't know, maybe interest died down and the cost possibly would that be a big factor potentially because it's I can't imagine it's a cheap thing to do to run rockets and astronauts and everything. So I suppose it's to do with that. But I mean, yeah, I mean, space is so vast, isn't it? That you just, I suppose, expected that we would be still sending people or in that interim period. But yeah, it's good to see that we're going again.
I know. Whenever you think about the reasons we were going with the space race and everything, um, it, it's not as surprising that we stopped after Apollo 17, which was our sixth time of landing on the moon. But what's surprising is that we had Apollo 12, which would have been our second time of landing on the moon. It's like on one hand, if the space race was like the primary driver, it's like it's really amazing we had the follow-up missions, I think.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it'd be. I mean, it'd be so amazing, wouldn't it, to be up there? I know it'd be incredibly rare to get the opportunity. So for anybody that has been or has a chance to go again, it must just be like the absolute pinnacle, the absolute dream to be able to. Yes, well, set foot. I mean, is that the plan to set foot on the moon again? Is that the aim?
Yeah, I mean, but this time kind of go in a more permanent, sustainable way.
Okay.
Start out with like a space station around the moon called Gateway,
Okay.
and then have some longer sustained surface operations to. I mean, since the last time we went to the moon, we found that there's water ice on the moon. So we thought the moon was bone dry after Apollo, but we've discovered through satellite observations that in the permanently shadowed craters at the poles of the moon, there apparently is like millions of tons of water ice that have been frozen there. Because apparently in those permanently shadowed craters, it's colder than it is on the surface of Pluto. So anything any moisture or water molecules that make it there is get trapped. And over millions of years, apparently comets and wet meteors and things like this have hit the moon. So,
stars there. Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, I'm wondering what might actually be stored along with the ice. There might be, prehistoric life or something like that.
Yeah. That'd be incredible, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Whenever you think about the future of humanity, like 100 years, 200 years, 300 years, what are some things that come to your mind?
Well, I suppose I know, like I've maybe read or seen like loose things that we might have to look at sort of expanding into the solar system or something like that, because obviously there's a climate change problem, isn't there, at the moment? So then there's obviously like movies about like inhabiting Mars and places like that, and I suppose that's the thing, isn't it? It's like there's a few things that have happened in sort of like sci-fi movies that have eventually become true. So maybe that's, I don't know, is that the future? Do we have to expand to live in places like Mars and the moon and that? I don't know.
Yeah, I personally think the future is whatever you and I make of it.
Yeah. True. Absolutely.
So what future do you want to make?
Oh, that's a really tough question. I suppose at the basic level, it's just happiness, isn't it? Really, and whatever that sort of leads to or takes you. I mean, yeah, I don't really know. It's a really tough question, that one.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of amazing. Like the Roman Empire lasted for like 1,000 years.
Yeah.
And what I've heard is that you could take a Roman centurion from the very beginning of that period, put him into a legion at the end of that period, and he would be able to cope just fine. Like the technology change of society over that 1,000 years really wasn't that much,
No. But that's something in general, isn't it? That like even, I don't know, like the quality, like the technology of television over the last, well, it's less than 100 years old, isn't it? Is it, or is it about 100 years old? And
I think it's less than that. I think television you know, what, the 1940s, 50s?
Yeah. And you even look at like the technology that was available to on television when I was a child is nothing compared to like now and the internet, the accessibility of absolutely everything. You've got like information in your hands, haven't you? And yeah, like the advancements in all sorts of technology, like even from like the 19th century, like the Industrial Revolution and things like that, that accelerated sort of everything, hasn't it? And things that have happened in that the advances in technology in the last 200 150 years have probably been greater than at any point in known history, probably, haven't they? I think so. Who knows? Like if it's accelerated that much in this space of time, like in 100 years' time, well, anybody's guess, isn't it?
It's kind of interesting. I look at like the engineers and the people that are inventing stuff today and in the recent past, and most of them, I think, if you talk during their childhood, they took things apart and put things back together, and they really, were very inquisitive, and they had like a deep understanding of things. But if you look at our technology now, it's not really of the type that you take apart and put back together. And it's so visually and engaging and stuff that you really don't need to dig deep into the technology. So I'm wondering if we're kind of entering into a period where we've lost the engine that created those types of
Okay.
engineers and engine,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
if we might actually be seeing technology slow down instead of
Okay.
increase.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just wondering what you thought of that possibility.
Yeah. I suppose when you put it like that, it sort of it makes sense, doesn't it? It's yes. I suppose it's I don't know. You can compare it to like athletes, can't you? Because the progression that athletes made in terms of like beating records, sort of sped up loads through advances in nutrition and footwear technology, for example, and clothing and whatnot. And now it's at a level where they're no longer sort of breaking a world record, for example, is quite a rare thing, isn't it? I mean, it probably sped up quite a bit throughout the mid part of the 20th century, and for the last 30, 40 years has been fairly constant in terms of the improvements on records it makes. So yeah, I suppose when you put it like that, that sort of thing makes sense. But I suppose it's you're then making the intricate changes, aren't you, to things as opposed to the huge revolutionary advances.
Yeah, it could even be worse than that, right? I mean, yeah, we
Mm.
could have like this technology is so vital to our lives, and information about how it works, how it was created, why it was created, how it supports everything else could be lost in a few
Mm.
generations.
Yeah.
And then at some point it breaks down, nobody's able to repair it, recreate it, we have no
Yeah.
clue. And then
Hmm.
you like see society like
Well,
plummet.
that's like you mentioned the Romans, didn't you? Like after the Romans left Britain, for example, we went through the period of the Dark Ages, where the stuff that they would run, I don't know, the viaducts, the plumbing, the all sorts of different things went into like disrepair because nobody knew how to maintain it. So for a few hundred years before other invaders came along and changed things, we lost the sort of the technology of the Romans.
Yeah, I mean, but any thoughts on how we prevent that?
Oh, um, it's tough, isn't it? I mean, I suppose it's sharing of knowledge. Making sure people are aware of why things were done in the first place and the importance of that. Maybe something like that.
Yeah, and I mean today we have like the absolutely uh, you know treasure of knowledge sharing in the internet.
Mm.
In
Yeah.
fact, it's like so much. I think it scares people away. They're like,
Oh,
ah, I can't.
it's amazing. It's like I think back to like even 25, 30 years ago when people were studying, researching and things like that. It must have been so much more difficult to find information out than it is now because you are actually just a few clicks away from potentially finding out information that if you had to do it manually, searching through textbooks or arranging conversations between people to that yeah. The availability of information at your fingertips is actually it's almost scary, isn't it? Like the connectivity that you have.
Yeah, it's like the information's like gone way up. The question is, how has our understanding like changed? Is like our level of understanding gone up too, or is it flat, or has it gone down because we don't need to understand because we could get the information
Yeah, true.
right there.
Yeah. You don't have to go through the process of processing everything, I suppose. Do you? You learn, researching, processing, understanding. The information is there for you to digest.
Yeah. So if it was safe and affordable, would you take a trip to space?
I think so. Yeah. I'd love to. I think it'd be. It's just. It's amazing, isn't it? Like there's sometimes you can just sort of sit and just look up and just sort of think at the stars and everything, and just sort of think, it's just amazing. It's so, like I said before, it's so vast. It would just be so amazing, wouldn't it, to see and to look down on Earth and just it give you you sometimes get a bit of perspective, don't you, that you are just a tiny a tiny speck on the overall grand scheme of things. But to see it would be amazing.
And how far would you consider going? Just to Earth orbit? Would you go to the moon? Would you immigrate to a future Martian colony?
It depends if I divorced from my wife and how far away she wanted me, I suppose. But no.
You can bring her with you.
Okay. No. That's yeah. I mean, if the chance arose, it would be I suppose it'd be life changing, wouldn't it? It'd be world changing. But yeah, I think I probably would.
I mean, can you imagine you would like have, I mean, there would be a branch of humanity that would not exist without you having made that choice.
Yeah. That'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, okay, let's say that you or one of your descendants actually went to Mars.
Mm-hmm.
And several generations later, your great granddaughter is grown up in Mars, born on Mars, never been to Earth, and she's going through school, and in high school she's in like history class, and they're like, write a paper about what it was like before this new space age started, before we started actually expanding out into the rest of the solar system. And she does a little Googling, and she comes across this video. And what you say in the next few minutes can be really instrumental into helping her get an A on that paper. Do you have anything that you think would be good to share?
What's the paper about? Sorry,
about what it was like on Earth before we started, kind of exploring and colonizing and developing the rest of the solar system.
Wow. I mean, it'd be absolutely huge, wouldn't it? Really, just for the fact that, like you say, one of your descendants was in that position, because, like you say, it would be part of the first step of branching out from our own planet, and what life is like here is. Well, I suppose it's all we're used to, isn't it? At the moment, it would be the broadening of the horizons and everything, and it's just it'd be it's almost indescribable. I wouldn't be able to put it into words, I don't think. I mean, Earth as it is now is it's a nice place. We're all used to it. We can all travel around and that, but to expand into space and to have somebody, it would be. Yeah, I couldn't put it into words, I don't think.
Yeah, it's a difficult question. I mean, the reverse of the question is, if you were looking at a recording of your great grandfather, what would be something that you would find valuable that he would have said? It's like, that's like difficult because their time seems so remote. It's just like, like the language, like the life experiences. I mean, he's like worried about his horses running off and what are they going to eat?
Yeah.
Will they freeze in the winter?
Yeah.
And we're worried about the cost of petrol, you know?
Yeah,
So,
yeah. The cost of the heating bills, or the cost of yeah. Different. It's mad, isn't it? Like you say, the differences and it is in actual time. It's only a tiny part of it. But in, like you say, in that period, things change so much, don't they? It's just hard to imagine what even, I don't know, even in 20 or 30 years time, what will life actually be like? Because I sort of notice it. I mean, I'm 33 now, and if I talk to people who are sort of like in their early 20s, they almost talk a different language, and you know that they have different sort of life experiences and different things culturally, and you know the things that they're used to on a daily basis are things that I aren't quite so used to as what they are. They have, say, new things come on all the time, and everything changes constantly, doesn't it? So yeah, it's crazy to think about it.
it is. Yeah, sometimes you could just become overwhelmed just thinking about it, you know? It's just like
Yeah.
you don't know how to invest your time or what the risk and opportunities are, and
No.
it's crazy. Well, I know we talked about quite a bit, but is there anything that you wanted to talk about, or did you have any questions for me?
Well, I suppose, how involved do you think are you hoping to be then in the moon landings in a few years' time? Have you got quite a bit to work up towards, and have you got goals to aim for? And because wasn't it you did there read that you wanted to be in mission control when the yeah, that'd be pretty cool, I think, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so right now I'm going through training, which actually starts next week,
Mhm.
to um, kind of manage the power and external thermal control systems on the International Space Station. And so that
Mhm.
training is going to be about 1.5 to 2 years. And then I'll
Yep.
serve some time after that, actually in the back room of mission control, potentially in the front room of mission control,
Mhm.
um, as supporting the International Space Station. And then hopefully at some point I can move over to the exploration group and do either a similar thing for like Gateway, which is the space station around the moon, or with Orion, which is the spacecraft that takes them from Earth to Gateway, or potentially the human landing system, which would take them from the Gateway down to the surface of the
Mhm.
moon. Um, so, but even if I can't actually be involved in that program, because I got to think that everybody here at NASA would want to be involved in that, and
Yeah.
just starting out now,
Mhm.
I would be like the lowest person on the seniority,
Yeah.
thing. So, um, it'd be. Uh, I'm sure there's many other people who
Yeah.
will be there, but I'll be near it. I get to talk to them. I
Yeah.
get to see it, so that'd
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. It's quite exciting.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Andy. I really appreciate you signing up for my project and us getting this
Mhm.
chance to connect.
No,
And
it's been great. Yeah.
it's great to be able to get your thoughts on the future of humanity,
Mhm.
and share a little bit with you about my first week here
Yeah.
at NASA.
Yeah.
And anyway, I hope our paths cross at some point,
Yeah.
and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
No, thank you. Thank you very much. The same to you as well. It's been lovely to talk. Thank you, Nathan.
Okay, well, talk to you later.
Cheers. Yeah.
Bye bye.
Speak soon. Bye. Bye.